Community Foundation for Palm Beach and Martin County is excited for another year to connect with our local nonprofit organizations that are doing so much great work in our community. And we just want to make sure you have all the information necessary to put your best proposal forward during this competitive process here. And so just the FYI, the process is competitive. Just as a note, last year we received about 387 requests. That was the largest number we've ever received for about $23 million in requests. And we were able to support about 5.6 million. So you can see there's a significant gap there. However, we're hopeful that we'll be able to support more nonprofits this year in our efforts to once again partner with you and ensure that you can actually do the work that you're doing in our local communities. My name is Daryl Houston. I'm the Vice President for Community Impact. And before I get to our Community Impact team, I just want to acknowledge our President and CEO, Ms. Danita Dehaney, our Marketing and Communication Engagement team, Ms. Julie Lauderbrow, and Brittany Peerbolt. Thank you guys for all your support through this process. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And once I share my screen and get into the PowerPoint, I'll let the rest of the Community Impact team introduce themselves. All right, so what I'll do right now, I'll go through the agenda of what we're planning to cover this evening, and then we will go ahead and get into the important part of this presentation, those slides that you all want to see. So we'll go over the understanding the grant process, as our Community Foundation has two processes through our fiscal year, which are summer program and our year-round programs that we'll touch on. The types of grants that we'll award, which are the single year grant awards and the summer grants, our focus areas and funding initiatives. So we'll kind of give some detailed information about what types of programs and projects align with each focus areas. And the focus areas are the same as the past 3 or 4 years. Eligibility requirements, which is key to organizations that are seeking to apply, making sure you meet the necessary minimum requirements. Tips for good proposals or strong proposals. And these proposals are not just good proposals for the Community Foundation, but we believe that this will help you with any proposal process that you apply through. The next steps in the process, which we will go through our timeline and key dates, and then we will have a Q&A session. So just as an FYI, everyone, please hold your questions till the end, or you can actually put them in the chat box and we will get to them as we finish the last slide of the presentation. So our grant process. So we have, as I mentioned, we have two processes that are aligned with this FY26 grant year. So we have summer grant awards. Summer grant awards, you will, if you're applying for a summer grant award, you'll submit a full proposal, which is a little different from the year-round grant awards, as it's a longer process. And the reason we only have you to submit a full proposal is to make sure you have the resources available for your program should you be awarded a grant to start on time during the May to August timeframe for summer programs. So you submit a full proposal, virtual site visits if needed. One thing to note is that if you don't receive a virtual site visit for a summer program, it doesn't mean that your program is not being considered. It just means that we have enough information to make, we feel that we have enough information to make a good decision. Grants are awarded. Measurement calls. Measurement calls are really focused on making sure that the outcomes that you put into your proposal are realistic. We don't want you to feel like you have to jump through hoops and feel like you have to serve 20,000 kids in 1 year to make it feel like you are a strong community partner. We just want those outcomes that you put in your proposal to be realistic and potentially achievable. Then last, the grant funds will be dispersed. And once again, as we get further through the PowerPoint, we'll go through a timeline that kind of will point that information out. Next, we have the year-round grant process. The major difference in the year-round grant process, this process includes a two phases where you have an LOI for organization to submit. And if your program is warranted, if it's compelling, we will invite it back for a full proposal. Not everyone will have the opportunity to submit a full proposal. So make sure in your LOI, you capture all the information that is important to convey the message in terms of the work and impact that you're going to have in the community. So after the full proposal, site visit could be in person or virtual. Once again, similar to the summer grants, if you're not invited for a site visit, does not mean that you will not be considered. As you can imagine, as I noted earlier, we had 387 proposals. So trying to get our team to do that many site visits would be very, very challenging. It probably would extend the grant process for a whole year instead of 5 to 6 months or so. Then you get the grant award, measurement calls, and then grant funds are dispersed. So who's involved with the grant making process? First and foremost, our board of directors have the final say so in approval for any grants that are awarded through our competitive process, which is led by our board chair, Mr. Jeffrey A. Stoops. Then we have our community impact committee, who are probably more engaged. These are board level committee members that provide guidance for our community impact team through the year. They also participate in the review process of the proposals that are submitted. And then last, we have our community impact team. And this is the group that you will probably engage with the most during this process. So with that being said, I want to let my two colleagues who are on here introduce themselves. Corey, we'll start with you.
Good evening, everyone. Corey Murphy, Senior Community Impact Officer here at the Community Foundation. So great to see the turnout tonight, and can't wait to answer any questions you have after listening to our presentation.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I am Shanuga Jerome, and I am the Community Impact Officer. Thank you so much for being here.
And then we have one last team member who's not able to be with us tonight. She had a little one about a week or so ago, so she's home tending to Mr. Mateo and enjoying the new life of motherhood. So Madeline Opaka is our Community Impacts Operation Manager. So what type of grants do we offer? One is programmatic grants. So these are grants that are for a specific project or program that are tied to specific outcomes. So a programmatic grant was very clear in terms of a specific activity that you will be engaged in. And also it truly talks about the impact of the program through the outcomes that you will achieve and how they will be measured. The second type of grant is a general operating grant. We started general operating grants about 2 years ago. This is our third year providing these general operating grants. And this is one area that, as we see the continued trends and requests from our community partners needing more flexible resources, we felt that it was important to listen and deliver. And so there's an opportunity for general operating grants. Now, the general operating grants are grants that speaks to the overall organization activities. And so just so I'm clear, in a general operating grant, once you start that proposal, from our end, once it's submitted, it needs to focus on your organization's activities, what you do day in and day out, your programs and services overview, all of them, opposed to the programmatic grant where there's one specific program that you're seeking support for. So just make sure you're very clear when you're sharing the message about what your programmatic grant is and what your general operating grant is. The next, we have summer programs. Summer programs are the same as the programmatic, with the major difference being the timeline and when summer programs take place. So summer programs will take place between May and August. So if you are awarded a summer grant, your grant will start around May 2026 and go to August 2026, where the year-round grants will start July 2026 and go all the way around to June 2027. And the key component in the process is that organization can only submit one grant type per cycle. It can be a programmatic grant, or it can be an operational grant, or it can be a summer grant, but you can't submit a program and summer grant. Now, if your organization somehow submits two grants, we will reach out to you immediately and ask that you select one. If we cannot get a hold of you or you don't return our call, we will have to just select one of the grant requests that you have and move forward with one of them. So that number that everyone is dying to see, grant awards can be applied to up to $75,000. This is for the senior year and summer year grant awards. So make sure when you're preparing your proposal, don't submit a programmatic request for $85,000 and in your budget you have $85,000. Because of the volume of requests that we receive, it will have an automatic decline behind it, because we want to make sure that you're able to follow the instructions that we have established for this process. All right, so what do we focus our grant making on? Ms. Shinuka.
Thank you. Okay, so our 4 focus areas are consistent, have been consistent for the past 4 to 5 years. We have economic opportunity, education and youth, thriving community, and capacity building. We're going to go in depth on what these 4 focus areas are and where your organization or program would fall under. All right, so first up we have here economic opportunity. And this is where any organization or program, their primary focus is to improve the community and lead them to economic stability. So these programs could look something like a workforce development program, a upskilling program, a program that is aiming for them to increase their pay at their job or at a different job. This could also look like adult literacy programs. So any of these kind of programs that focuses on improving the economic stability of the community, it would fall right under here, economic opportunity. Next, we have education and youth. And so the education in any programming or organization that serves age range of 0 up to the age of 22 years old, your programming would fall in this category. So it could look like early childhood development, youth literacy program, any at-risk youth programs, high school retention programs, or even GED programs, as long as it serves youth under the age of 22. And the focus of this area is to allow each child in that community to reach its fullest potential. So any programming where they want to fill that gap in order for them to reach their fullest potential, they would apply under this focus area here. And our next focus area is thriving community. This is the focus area where we receive the most requests. We had, I believe, more than 50% of our requests last year were here in Thriving Community. So the premise of this focus area is that the organization or program is ultimately leading the community to thrive. So anything that would address any hunger, homelessness, health, wellness, food insecurity, access to arts and culture, or any environmental issues that they may be addressing, they would fall under this focus area here, Thriving Community. And lastly, we have capacity building. So capacity building is strictly for nonprofits whose focus is to strengthen other nonprofits in the community. So if you yourself are a nonprofit and you host webinars or classes on how to improve the strategic planning within other nonprofits, or financial courses for other nonprofits, you would then apply here. So your focus is that you help strengthen and empower other nonprofits. You would fall under this category for capacity building. Now, if you're looking to do capacity building for your specific nonprofit, then we would probably recommend for you to apply for a general operating grant. But if you are a nonprofit who strengthens other nonprofits, then you can apply for a grant under this focus area, capacity building. All right, next slide. Okay, so who can apply for grants from the Community Foundation? So a tax-exempt organization, if you are a 501c3 organization, or if you are a nonprofit that is registered in the state of Florida, and you might not have filed your 990 yet, you could file with a fiscal sponsor, and we would ask those questions on the application. Those organizations can apply. Also, if you are located and serving within the Palm Beach and Martin counties. And lastly, if you're an organization that is in good standing with the Community Foundation. So you might ask, what does it mean to be in good standing with the Community Foundation? That means if you've previously received funding from the Community Foundation and you returned your reports on time, you were able to be contacted and communicative, that means you have good standing. However, if you were an organization where you previously received funding from us and you did not turn your reports in on time, you weren't as communicative, it was hard to get a hold of you, that may have definitely affected your standing with the Community Foundation. Next slide. All right, Corey, hand it off to you.
Thanks, Shanuka. So we'll talk about the ineligibility criteria, and I'll go through some of the components here for what we do and will not accept as far as requests to us. So under the program section, we do not support organizations to apply for a grant from us and then give that money away to someone else, to another organization. So we do not re-grant our dollars, and we don't accept applicants who wish to do that. We also don't accept organizations who have received 3 consecutive years of funding from us for the same program, or an organization that received general operating support from us for 3 years in a row. If that applies to you, then you can either apply with a different program or reapply after taking a 1-year break. Under organizations and individuals, we don't fund organizations who want to pay debts or previous loans with our dollars. We don't fund organizations specifically under the general operating grant. If your organization has a headquarters outside of Palm Beach or Martin County, we will not support your a general operating request from you. So if that is you, you would apply for a program grant. We don't fund charter schools, parochial schools, private schools. Um, we don't fund organizations that want to support a specific person, organizations that discriminate, or organizations that are in the middle of a multi-year award with us. And then finally, we don't fund organization and their fundraising endeavors. Organizations who have capital campaigns or capital projects, we don't fund that. One-time events, such as galas or other one-time organizational events, agency endowments, or budget deficits. So you can't apply for dollars from us to fill a gap in your budget. So the tips for a strong proposal, we ask that your proposal have these 4 C's: be clear, concise, communicative, and complete. With clear, we ask that you demonstrate what it is your program or general operating request wish to do for your organization. Um, and we ask that you do it with as much brevity as you can. Daryl mentioned before that we had 387 LOIs at this time last year, and it's a lot to read, and we enjoy reading them, but brevity is key. Make sure you communicate the issue or issues your organization and your program wish to solve, and make sure that your application or your LOI is complete. And what I mean by that is ensure that anything we ask you to submit, that you submit it. I'll give an example. We ask you to upload your 990 or an audited budget. If you don't have a 990, don't submit a document letting us know that you intend to get it later or you're working with the IRS to get it, because we need this information by the deadline. We expect your request to generate visible results demonstrated within your program or within your general operating request. Um, we accept we expect you to think about, next bullet point, Daryl. We expect you to think about your outcomes um, on the front end and be able to communicate that in the LOI and the full application. And we expect your budget to be thoughtful and complete. And we want it to make sense for whatever it is you're proposing. We say that you can apply for $75,000, and there are a bunch of ways you can spend it, but we'll be able to see through budgets that don't make sense. And then finally, we do appreciate when organizations collaborate, but it is not required. So talk about your collaborations as it makes sense. We definitely value lived experience, learned experience, as you are running amazing programs throughout both of our counties. And we want you to demonstrate that in the LOI and full app. And talk to us about how you will use our dollars. If you do those things, your proposal will likely be strong. All right. So to access the LOI, you'll go to yourcommunityfoundation.org, and on that right side, you'll see login. You'll select grant seeker and grantee login. At that point, you can create new credentials if you are new to applying to the Community Foundation, or you can log in using your current credentials, reset your password, things like that. Once you log in, you will see this screen where you can apply for a single year grant or a summer grant. You'll select whichever one you'd like to apply, and you begin the process there. Once you click apply, there is this acknowledgement. We ask you to read and let us know that you understand. Here we give you the deadline of December 19th, at 5 p.m. And we also let you know which process you're in. And so we'll let you know if you're in a summer process or a single year process. Once you click you understand, you'll be able to advance to the rest of the application. Here, depending on what you select, whether it's programmatic or general operating, we'll ask you if you've received 3 years of consecutive funding for a specific program or for general operating support. And that's what you see here. And depending on what you select, it'll advance you to the next components of the application, or it'll stop you here. As far as your general operating request is concerned, it's important for us to know whether you're in Palm Beach or Martin County. And so in order to advance your general operating request, your headquarters has to be in Palm Beach or Martin County. And again, here you see that we ask if you received general operating support for 3 years consecutively. All right, so in these fields, we're just looking for numbers. We want your board approved general or operating budget amount. This is a number that would appear on your 990 or your approved budget. We ask for the grant request amount. This is the amount you're requesting for your program or general operating support. And we ask for the total cost of the program you're applying for, so we can understand how your grant request is situated in the total cost of the program.
And just one small note here, as you look at the second text box there, the request for $75,000 is the max amount, as I shared earlier. If you put in this box here where you're requesting, once again, let's say $95,000, and in your program budget that you submit, it's $95,000, it will be an automatic decline for the process. So just make sure that you only submit up to $75,000 for any award.
Thank you for that, Daryl. So a few more components before the Q&A. The budget narrative here, we just want to know how you intend to use the dollars you're requesting. Don't copy and paste your budget here. We just want the high level use of the money. So if you run, for instance, an after school program that teaches college prep, tell us how you use the dollars. And then we also asked for an executive summary. This is 2 or 3 sentences that summarizes what your application is about. This information comes directly from you, and we give it to our board when sharing the variety of LOIs that have come in after the deadline. And so that's why we are asking you for this 2 or 3 sentences.
On to the grant making timeline. So these dates here are going to be key in the process. As you note, the process opened on November 1st, and then the process closes on December 19th at 5 p.m. So I have to always say this: please don't wait until December 18th to start your application, or December 19th at noon to begin to upload your documents. Technology is technology. Technology happens, and it may prevent you from submitting your proposal on time. Just a case in point, we talk about technology. As I mentioned, the process opened on November 1st. When I came into the office on November 3rd, just to take a look and see what's happening in the system, the system was down, not to any fault of ours, just our administrative system was down. So those things happen. So don't put yourself in a pickle to where you can't submit because you waited too long to start your process, and then you don't have the opportunity to submit the proposal in its entirety, as Corey mentioned earlier, making sure it's a complete proposal. So a couple of the key dates for summer proposals. Summer proposal awards will be you'll be notified in mid-March. And so once again, that's so we can get you the resources in time for you to start your summer programs around May going through August. Next, you have the full proposal awards will be around May 22nd. This is after our board's final meeting of the year, and they approve the recommendations that are submitted to them by our Community Impact Committee. And then for the year-round grant awards, the grant period will start July 1, 2026. So just trying to take note of these key dates here. The PowerPoint will be put on our website. So if you don't have the opportunity to capture it now, you'll be able to go to the website to see all this important information about the grant process for FY26. Now, we're going to have our Q&A session. Because we have so many folks on the Zoom call, we're asking that you put your questions in the chat, and then we can read it and then respond to those questions.
I have the first question, Daryl, and we can
Okay.
go down the list if you'd
All
like.
right. Sounds good.
Melanie's first question was, can you apply for both summer grants and year-round grants?
You cannot apply for multiple grants. You only can apply for one. It has to be either a summer grant, a general operating grant, or a programmatic grant. If you submit more than one, as I shared with you earlier, we'll reach out to you and ask you which one you want to move forward. If you do not respond to us, we will just remove one and proceed with the other.
Our next question was from Susan. She asked, can you give an example of a programmatic project grant versus an operating grant?
Sure. A programmatic grant, let's say your organization focuses on youth and you have a youth mentoring program and you provide youth mentoring service to youth, and it's targeted with specific outcomes as you want those youth to achieve at the end of the program period. So you want all those youth to start, they may be at a starting point, and I'll just use, say you're using a scale. When they did the pre-test, their scale, they were at a 2, but at the end of the actual the grant period, they were at a 7. So you were able to show specific outcomes and growth in those youth. So those are specific outcomes that are tied to that particular program. When you're talking about general operating, your focus is really resources that are going to sustain your organization. So you have more flexibility and you're more nimble with the resources. So you may use the resources from a general operating grant to support an insurance that you have. You may use it to cover transportation for staff. You may use it to cover finance department activities. So it's not specific to a program, but it's looking at the organization as a whole and how do you continue to keep it functioning and sustainable to continue to do the work that you do day in and day out.
Our next question is from Karen Johnson. Are year-round grants programmatic and operating? And we designate which? So I'm assuming she's asking if the programmatic and operating grants, are they both year-round? I think that's the question.
Yes. So an organization can apply for a general operating grant or a programmatic grant. Those are year-round grants. Or an organization can apply for a summer grant that runs from May through August.
Okay, our next question is from Nika McKay. I'm assuming she was asking about the education and youth focus area. She said, is it including through the age of 22?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
short answer is yes.
Okay. Melanie asks, do you have to serve both Palm Beach and Martin counties, or can you just serve Palm Beach County?
You can just serve Palm Beach County, you can just serve Martin County, or you can serve both counties. You just can't serve outside of those counties.
Ian asked, will you accept a budget that is not audited?
Yes. So we ask, and you'll see in the LOI, we ask for an audited budget or 990s. And so we would accept a 990. Even the 990 easy, the postcard, we accept those too.
Okay, our next question comes from Francis. Can you clarify the event underwriting restriction, please?
So events would be if you have a special events like a gala, we don't sponsor those events. So if you know how typically you have presenting sponsor, you have your platinum sponsor, you have your gold sponsor. We don't provide one-time sponsorship gifts for special events.
Okay, next question is from Karen Johnson. Will the budget be in the LOI?
The budget section is not included in the LOI. Really, we want a snapshot of what you're proposing. And we wouldn't want you to have to go through all of that work just to not be advanced to the next phase. And so we just ask for a budget narrative for the program grant, and for the general operating grant, we don't ask you for a budget at all.
Okay, next question is from Amy. If applying for a general operating, do you put your annual operating budget in the total program budget box as well?
No. So when if you see the general operating, it will not have a programmatic box listed on it. It'll just have the it'll just have your organization's operating budget and then the general operating, what your number that you're requesting. So it'll only be 2 boxes instead of 3.
Okay, next question is from Adrienne. Am I correct in understanding that if we have received general operating support for the past 3 years, we can submit a programmatic request this year, but not a general operating?
That is correct.
I'll add a caveat. If you've applied for a program for 3 years in a row, the same youth mentoring program, for example, and you want to apply for a food delivery program, that's acceptable too. We just won't support the same program for a 4th year in a row.
Okay, next question is from Stephanie Schulman. Should we include our requested amount in the executive summary?
You don't have to
No.
include your requested amount now.
Next question is from Priya Kumar. Would animal welfare come under thriving communities? That's her first question here. She has a follow-up question.
Yes.
Yes. So yes, it'll fall under.
Now there's just one thing. It will fall up under thriving communities. However, if you're doing a program where it's literacy, where you have your, let's say, your dog who's sitting in with the child as they read, because it's proven, shown research where kids are more relaxed in that space if they're doing a literacy program, that would fall up under education and youth. But if it's just specific to animals, it will fall up under thriving communities.
Okay, and her next question was, what is the average approved grant amount?
You know, it varies. I would say they range probably around $35,000 to $40,000 by the time you award out the total amount and then the number of grant awards that we approve.
Okay. Next question is from FTCLO. Does a grant from the Fisher Foundation count towards the 3 consecutive grant requirement?
No, it does not.
Okay. From Rose, could you please talk a little more about the budget narrative? Can you give an example of what to include?
Sure. So in that budget narrative section, we want to know how you intend to use the dollars. So let's say you have a youth program, again, that teaches college support, college readiness, and you take your kids on college tours as a component of the program. We would expect you to include something about transportation, maybe food, maybe some swag for your kids. And so in the budget narrative section, you would tell us some of those big ticket items. Our program uses college tours as a means to expose young people to the college process. And as a result of that, we are requesting X thousands of dollars for transportation, Y $1,000 for food, and the $1,000 for whatever other component to that program.
Okay. Next question is from Deirdre. What goes into the LOI?
Well, there are specific questions. If so, I would encourage you to take your time to look at it. There are specific questions on the general opposite rating side as well as the programmatic side. Now, some of the items that may go into it, as Corey talked, there's the question with the executive summary, there's a budget narrative, there is how do you plan to use these resources. So I would just encourage you to take a look at the LOI just to get a full understanding of what goes in it. And if you have any question once you review it, feel free to reach out to our community impact staff with any questions that you may have.
Okay, our next question is from Digital Vibes. If we serve youth, but do more technology and arts versus academics, what focus area would you recommend we go under?
I'd recommend you apply under education and youth. But for everyone on the call, I think it's important to note if for whatever reason you apply under a focus area where after we read, we don't think it fits there, we will adjust that for you at no penalty. So you don't have to worry about selecting the wrong focus area.
Okay. Our next question comes from Jody McNeil. Is there a limit on the budgets of an organization's eligible for general operating grants?
There is. If your budget is $2 million or less, you can apply for a general operating. If it's more than 2 million, you must apply for either a summer program or a programmatic grant.
Okay, next question from Nika McKay. For youth mental health services, would that align with thriving community and not youth education?
It would fall up under the education and youth focus area because your target population are youth.
Okay. Michaeline Graham, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Do you cover IDC? And if so, to what percentage?
Do you cover what is that again?
IDC.
IDC.
Indirect costs. Is that the spirit of that question? Indirect? A thumbs up will suffice if that's.
She said yes in the chat.
Okay.
Okay. We do cover admin costs up to 10%, not to exceed the total grant amount of $75,000.
Okay. Next question is from Richard. Just to clarify, a nonprofit applying for this grant must be headquartered in either Martin or Palm Beach County, or can the nonprofit be headquartered elsewhere but operate in those counties?
So there's two answers to that. An organization can be outside of Palm Beach and or Martin counties and receive a grant from the Community Foundation as long as it's programmatic and it is supporting the residents of Palm Beach and or Martin counties. The second part of that is if your organization physical office is outside of Palm Beach County, you cannot apply for a general operating grant. So the short answer is yes, you can apply for a grant from the Community Foundation. It just needs to be a programmatic request.
Okay. Another question from Deirdre. Would a vicarious trauma retreat for nurse burnout be considered?
I would say that sounds like a one-time event, although it's over a few days. But we could talk about that specific question. If you see the email on the screen, CI grants at cfpbmc.org, reach out there, and we can schedule a time to talk.
Okay, next question from Grace Alvarez. Is there a way to check if an organization is in good standing? There were staffing gaps in our organization's history, which may have impacted our standing. What can be done to repair it if damaged?
I'll reach out to our community impact team and have a direct conversation.
Okay. Miriam Pierre asks, for the summer grant, how many weeks does the program have to operate to get a summer grant?
It's a great question, and we really leave that up to you. We funded summer grants programs that were 4 weeks long, 8 weeks long, 12 weeks long. And so as long as your grant request makes sense, it is something we would consider. So that's up to you.
Yeah, and I would also add to that, making sure on top of that, making sure their grant requests, the budget is realistic with the time frame as well.
Okay, next question is from Marta. Do summer grant applications require an LOI?
They do not, just a full proposal.
From Christina Cabral, if we serve Martin or Palm Beach and other counties, can we still apply?
Yes, you can, but our Community Foundation resources must be used to support the residents, Palm Beach County and or Martin County.
Okay, from Martha, can the general operating grant be used partly for programs or just for operation of the organization?
The GenOp request must be used for the management running of the organization. We don't accept program expenses to be used within that grant.
Okay, next question is from Morgan Kuntz. Are there cost share requirement for a programmatic or general operating grant?
Are there cost share requirements?
I would
Yeah.
say
Is there a cost share requirement for a programmatic or general operating grant?
just our understanding in terms of cost share is she referring to a requirement of other resources to support the program to balance out a budget. So if the program budget is 100,000, cost sharing they may need to show that 50,000 is coming from another source of income.
I'm not confident, but Morgan, if you could chime in the chat, that would be helpful. We'll go to the next question and then we can go back.
Okay.
Deborah asked, perhaps this was already answered. Can you please clarify in the application form you showed the distinction between grant request amount and then the total cost of program amount if one is seeking a general operating grant? Thank you.
Yes, so in the general operating section, you'll see this when you log in and begin looking at the application. We only ask you for the total request from us. So how much money are you requesting from us? And your general or your operating budget amount. Those are the only two numbers we ask for. For the programmatic grants, we do ask for those two pieces of information and the total cost of your program. So we know how our request or the amount of money you're asking for from us is situated um, within the total amount of what your program costs to run. So for a general operating grant, you won't have to answer any of those programmatic numbers questions.
And just one note to that as well, for the general operating grant, we truly set it up to where it's general operating, where we don't request a program budget or a budget for the general operating request. Now, we will require you to submit an expense budget once you complete the grant period, but we want to make sure that the general operating is just that. You have the flexibility to use the resources internally to support your organization's infrastructure.
Okay, our next question is from Rebecca. Our organization serves Palm Beach and Martin counties as well as other counties. If our grant focuses on Palm Beach and Martin County programs only, are we eligible to apply?
Yes. Once again, you have to show where your resources are that come from the Community Foundation for Palm Beach and Martin counties are used specifically for residents in Palm Beach County and Martin County.
Okay, next question is from Karen. If we operate a program in Palm Beach and are headquartered outside of Palm Beach, can we only request a program grant? Is that correct?
Correct.
Unless your organization is headquartered in Martin County.
Right.
If your headquarters is outside of our Palm Beach or Martin County, then you can only apply for a programmatic grant.
Okay, next question is from Sarai. Can we use the grant money to fund a transportation bus for our organization?
And no, that will be a capital item.
Next question is from Dr. Darcel. If we had a death in the executive leadership that created a break in grant funding and now have leadership in place submitting for funding support, would that disqualify our organization from applying?
No, it would not disqualify you.
Okay, from Francis Bright, will the foundation still support the grant seeker if the requested Okay, hold on. Will the foundation still support the grant seeker if the requested more funds than what it can give? For example, the organization requested 20,000, but the foundation decides to give 15,000.
We've made,
Yes, we will.
Thanks, Daryl.
Did you answer the question? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
It was a
Yes.
yes.
It was a yes. Okay, Francis, it was a yes. Shanisha asked, how long does an organization need to be in operation to receive the grant?
We've supported brand new organizations in the past, and we enjoy reading those requests. We just ask that you have all of the components of the LOI and full application to apply. And so we do fund new organizations.
Gwendolyn Carey asked, may personnel costs be paid for under the Gen Operating Grant?
Yes. So remember, general operating is, once again, it's flexible resources. It's you can use the resources to support the organization how you see fit at that time.
Next question is from iPhone. I may have missed this, but would an organization be able to request under operating budget a salary for a needed position?
If an organization is supporting your programmatic staff, then you probably should apply for a programmatic grant. If an organization is hiring for staff that helps the organization run, for instance, an accountant or someone like that, then apply for general operating.
Okay, the next question is from Marta. If the organization is a new grant applicant, are there other means for showing an organization is in good standing?
Well, the good standing, it really speaks to the organizations that have received grant resources from us. So that's when we talk about ensuring that you as an organization are in good standing with the community foundation. But if you're a new organization, we will do the detailed research and due diligence to make sure your organization is up to par and at a minimum 501c3 organization serving our community.
Okay, our next question is from Brandy. Can we leverage our funds, such as a county government grant dollar, to support the program that we are applying for, or does it have to be fully funded by the community foundation?
First, go ahead, Corey.
We know that programs that operate often are more than the $75,000 the community foundation is able to grant. And so we ask you to leverage other resources to fully fund your program.
Okay,
Yes.
next question.
Diversity in your funding is a good thing.
Next question is from Monique Gordon. For programmatic grants, you mentioned that this grant can't be used to fill in gaps in the budget. How much of our total operating budget will you fund? Percentage. She's asking for percentage wise.
So we will fund up to 25 to 30% of your budget at a max of $75,000.
And our last question is from Marta. If the organization is seeking to support an educational enrichment program, would instructional resources and or equipment like computers be considered capital items?
If those, go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, there.
Oh, okay. If those items are key to the program's delivery, we would consider some computers to support the program.
That
Now,
was
once
our
again,
final
it
question.
can't just be, hey, we want to purchase all computers to support the program. It has to be a component of the program.
That was our final question.
Okay, final one. Well,
Mhm.
Well, this has been an eventful evening. I would say probably the most questions that we've seen so far. I thought I was going to have to go take a intermission and we can come back and finish answering the questions. But it was exciting. We look forward to you guys submitting your proposal. Once again, this is another opportunity to connect and talk about the great services that you're providing within Palm Beach and or Martin counties. And we are delighted that you chose to sit with us tonight for an hour and a half or so, just to learn about our process. And with that being said, we look forward to receiving your proposals. And remember, the deadline is December 19th at 5 p.m. Can't go over 5 p.m. It will not be entered into the system. So thank you once again, and you guys have a wonderful rest of the evening.